I want to talk to just the people who are over 30, who are overweight, and want to gain muscle. Recomping doesn't seem to work. I don't know anyone who successfully recomped. I've never even heard of successful recomping. This is like sometimes you hear it like gaintaining. It's one of those big like fitness influencer things, and I feel like we hear about it all the time because it's theoretically possible, and it's kind of like what everyone wants, which is to shift into gaining muscles and being thin as quick as possible. But I've just never seen it work. I've never even heard of it working. I, and it ends up being that thing like I think we all know that person who is like very overweight and very out of shape who likes talking about fitness and likes the idea of studying it but doesn't actually participate in it successfully and has all these ideas that sound nice on paper but are incredibly wonky when you get into the actual business of weightlifting. I think like a great example of that would be really out of shape people trying to give you tips on how to do like um, squats. Like it's always immediately obvious because they don't have the mobility to do any of it, and it they find themselves in this spot where they don't realize like, oh, well, your stance might actually change as you're able to do more weight and as you gain mobility. So they get stuck in this very static way of thinking that they can't ever really escape from because they're not doing it. But they want to speak with like this intense authority because they've like read an article online about it, or maybe even like read a stack of articles online about it, but they just don't really know because they've not really done it. We know people can just get fitness and gains from doing like very, very simple things. Getting leaner and gaining muscle can be gained just by doing 200 push-ups a day. Just 200 push-ups a day. Assuming you're overweight, so that means you're already in a caloric surplus. Just by doing 200 push-ups a day, you will get leaner and gain centimeters on your chest and arms. It will happen like within a month. It happens pretty fast, all things considered about you gaining that muscle. Now, you will appear leaner, but will just be a function of you gaining muscle mass effectively. Like to be overweight like that, you're already in a caloric surplus. So in that sense, you're already in a bulking phase. You just don't have the training working out, and the weightlifting worked out yet. That seems like a very easy thing to fix, right? You just keep your diet, maybe sprinkle on some more of that protein, and lift, or even like we're saying, the very simple body weight exercises like doing push-ups. You hear a lot of people talking about online, or it's like another one of those fitness influencer nonsense things. Like people fear the fuck around itis, the people who go to the gym and don't really work out that hard. And so they don't really get gains. And it's like a sickness that's bogging down the community. And that is just utter bullshit. That's utter bullshit by the top 5% of people who need top the top 5% of the perfect fitness recommendations. For most people, just the habit of going to the gym every day will lead to them getting gains. Like if you just carve out your schedule so you can go to the gym for an hour every day. Like, I don't believe you're going to go there and just sit in a chair. There's going to be weights around. You're going to do even very simple exercises, and that will lead to gains. It it just will. Like a lot of the times when we talk about like even progressing the weight that we're adding on to like our bench presses or anything like that, that's for people to gain the maximum amount of gains they possibly can. If you could go in there and just do as do 45 to 90 pounds of bench press, you could do that for months and you'll continue to see gains. It's the reality of it. You might want to increase the amount of reps over time or something like that, but ultimately, even if you didn't do that, you'll just continue to see gains until you hit that maximum point, which is probably like way further out than you think it is. And so, like, just getting to the gym is the hardest part. Like they've talked that there's been studies like one of the biggest barriers people have from their fitness goals is just a lack of time. So if you're able to just make that time and go to the gym and get it in yourself to have that habit of being at the gym, you're gonna get there. Um, but nobody wants to like talk about it like that. It's all like fuck around itis and everything needs to be maximalized. My understanding of the person who really pioneered fuck around itis, um, like he was a good bodybuilder, but he was also on, I want to say steroids, something like that. He was on clearly some kind of performance enhancing drug, and so like and on top of that, he knew the perfect way to do every rep he needed to do. He knew there's the perfect sets of exercises to accomplish everything he was doing. Like that's not you. That'll probably never be you. That like even that the desire to have the perfect form and know exactly the perfect thing to do, it's like alien to me to even get there. And on top of that, they're not going to the 24-hour fitness that has the yoga mom who needs to, do practice yoga right next to you doing a bench squat. It's not the one that's full of old people who are like draping themselves across the machinery. It's not the one with teenagers who are like harassing girls there. And it's not the 24-hour fitness that have kids running around unattended. Which I don't know the 24-hour fitnesses you go to. That's the one I go to. And this idea that we could have these max round, I don't fuck around sets in that environment is nonsense. So they're also just paying to go to nicer gyms. And again, this is probably not where you're at. Like even if you're looking at the whole recomp attitude, the notion of recomping is a beginner maybe like fucked around a little bit with it in their youth and now want to like figure it out. Like no, don't be scared of the fuck around itis. Just go to the gym, be at the gym. It's about going and building the right habits. One of the hardest habits, like I've already said, is adjusting your time management. And like if you can adjust your time management for you to be at the gym and just sprinkle on that extra protein you might need. And again, that's a might. You maybe don't even need that. I don't know everyone's diet, but it's just like right there. And then like by just doing that, you are legit in the bulking phase. You will gain the muscle. And then when it's time to cut, it might be more painful because you'll have the extra fat on you from being in that state for so long, but you'll emerge from it not skinny fat, which is what you normally see, right? Like people get overweight and then they like starve themselves, drop a ton of weight, and just end up being cripplingly skinny fat. And you can avoid that step of it by just gaining muscle by going to the gym and treat it like a bulking phase, but don't even like think about it like a bulking phase. You're just there and you're going to dedicate 3 to 6 months of just going to the gym. And even if you're not pushing yourself very hard and you're just finding the right exercises for you, you still probably need to hit every muscle group, but you don't even need to hit them well. Like I was saying, you could like just push ups. You don't even need the gym. Get there, accomplish that, and after 3 or 6 months, look into a cutting phase. Find a way to cut 2% of your body fat a month for a couple months, and like the change will be revolutionary for you. But all this talk of like recomping is for like gamers who think they can like optimize and solve the system. But the problem with the system of the game of this is that the problem is not knowing how to work out. It's getting the right habits and the right types of hygiene to be at the place that you want to be. And when I say hygiene, I mean like sleep hygiene or diet hygiene, things like that. Like and I'm telling you, the biggest barrier is lack of time. So if you figured out a way to be at the gym for an hour every day, you will and you get that as a habit and you just do it. It's just like go to your girlfriend and just be like, hey, if you're gonna take that away from me, I'm just leaving you. If you're able to have that, you're so ahead of the game. The odds that you're going to get to where you need to be will just skyrocket. where you need to be, where you want to be, which I assume is to gain muscle and in 3 to 6 months cut. All right, that's all I had to say on it. It drives me nuts, all this recomping thing. And it goes alongside of the how can I spend the least amount of time in the gym to get the most gains I can possibly have kind of attitude. And it's like, that's not how you're going to get where you want to be. You're going to have to become a usual at the gym. There's this pretend thing too, like I hear all the time on YouTube, like you're going to emerge with tons of friends at the gym. I think the biggest thing you'll learn at the gym, unless you're paying to go to a nice gym, but any kind of like 24-hour fitness or plant fitness or anything like that, is that nobody goes there with the amount of clockwork like you'll have if you figure out how to go an hour a day. If you go for an hour a day before work every day, you will quickly see that almost everyone there is it's just popping in and out in random intervals. There might be one or two guys, but you probably won't end up being friends with them. But so yeah, if you're like over 30 and overweight, you should just want to get muscle and you don't even need to work that hard at it. Like how hard you need to work is maybe a different conversation, but I'm telling you, if you're doing half what you would imagine your 1 rep max would be, and you're just doing an amount of sets of them, but you just kind of feel tired after doing it, you do that long enough for enough amount of days, and you're gonna be there, my dude.